So hello everyone, and thank you for coming to our Eagle Lead presentation introducing the College of Science and Health. Eagle Lead stands for Leadership, Engagement, and Development and is a speaker series debuting on campus this semester. Throughout Eagle Lead, each college at the university will have 3 feature weeks, including an introduction, which is what's happening tonight, a leadership topic, and a speaker from the community. So we hope that you'll join us for the remainder of the presentations in your college. You can find more information and a complete schedule on the Cove social media pages. But tonight, to start off the College of Science and Health's presentations with Eagle Lead, we have Dr. Jennifer Klein from the biology department and research students Emily, Anna, and Jacob. After they finish up their presentations, there'll be some time for questions. And on a final note, this session is being recorded for future viewing. So you guys are all good to do your presentation.
Okay, sounds great. So I'm going to share my screen if I can do that. Let's see if looks like I do. Permission to do that. Feel free to interrupt me. There's probably too much information here. So if there's something that you want to know more about, you just say something. Even my research students say something. So I'm from the College of Science and Health, and I am in the biology department. My contact information is up here. You can email me anytime about the content that I deliver tonight, or if you have some questions about what I teach or my research program. Have contact information for the Dean of the College of Science and Health. He actually provided the content in some of these slides. That's Mark Heinrich and the Associate Dean, Roger Harrell. So we only have a few people out there right now. I know it's being recorded, other people might watch, but I want you to put something in the chat for me. Can you name the top 3 fastest growing occupations, jobs, what you might envision doing after you leave UWL? What ones do you think are the fastest growing? You throw it in there. Oh, I don't know. Can we chat? Have that open? I don't see chat on my Zoom window. You guys have chat?
There should be the chat feature for participants.
When you're presenting,
I got it.
It's up top.
Well, why don't you just put some guesses in there? Anything in the health field. Oh, Seth, you're right. Seth, what's your major? You might want to put that in there too, since you're your primary audience tonight. Information system. Oh, let's see. Computer science major, yeah. My students, you can guess too if you want to. But you hope that what you're going into is going to be one of the fastest when I show you in just a minute. Well, so far it's health fields and information systems. I'll move on to the next slide. You were right. You're absolutely right. So as you might have guessed, like health professions are on the tip top. We have nurse practitioner that's going to grow about 52%. And this is from 2019, 2029. So these are predictions. But then statistician is right up there, close to the top 2. Occupational therapist, again, health professions, physical therapist. These don't really surprise us because of our aging population. But then data scientists and mathematical science. I don't know, was it Seth who said something about information systems? I wonder if that's kind of what you're thinking. Connection to big data, physician assistants, back to health professions, information security, and genetic counselor. So you can definitely see a theme here. The other thing that they all have in common is that you need to get a bachelor's degree, probably with some major in the College of Health and Science. You can do these things without that, but you're going to have to take a lot of classes in college to get there. Let's see if there's some interesting stats about the College of Science and Health that you don't know yet. We are the largest college. The enrollment is about 5,000 students, so that's out of about 10,000 total at UWL. So about 50% of the student population. There are 49 undergraduate programs, 21 graduate programs, and we even offer a doctoral program, which you might not know. 254 faculty, Now in UWL total, there are probably about 350 faculty, so this is a very large proportion of our faculty. Most of them, like more than 88%, hold a PhD or terminal degree. Our most popular majors, you can probably guess them: biology, so that's my department, exercise and sports science, computer science, recreation management, and therapeutic recreation. So we have a lot of students in these majors. Okay, a few more stats. This is actually more kind of bragging, about our college. But since 2010, there have been over 1,000 undergraduates engaged in faculty mentored research. So I have 3 students here today who are engaged in faculty mentored research. That's Anna and Jacob and Emily. And I guess my lab's a little unique in that since I would say the last 4 years that I've been here, I've actually engaged I've had 150 undergraduates in research. Sometimes it's in course embedded research. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but also students that just work in my research lab. So it looks like I've made up about 1/10 of that. We have some famous biology professors in our department who have received very prestigious awards. Let's see, 3 departments were awarded the UW Regents Excellence Award. That was biology, physics, and then math and statistics. Faculty seek grants to be able to engage undergrads in research. About 11 million in external funding since 2010. Again, I think a lot of, like my lab, for example, is funded by NIH. And we take that research, usually with undergraduates on it, and we publish papers. So the kinds of activities that we engage in. I would say if there's any underlying principle within our college, it is teaching science by doing science. And this is really what I live by as a professor. This is one of my former students, and my students who are with us right now definitely recognize him. This is Alex Dial. He is conducting research on the effects of gene editing on some muscle cell lines that we work with. He was trying to get them to actually age faster, to study aging. This is the kind of teaching that is the highest quality, most effective for getting students jobs. So students get this real world, hands-on, practical experience before graduation. Sometimes it's in courses, but sometimes it's working in the faculty mentor's lab. Course embedded research, an example of that is what I do in my molecular biology lab. I always invite a client to that lab and they have an interesting project. So one year it was somebody working in food science who wanted to know how he could better detect food allergens and projects, and we came up with some genetic analyses to help with that. But sometimes it's like my own research that I bring in. But so in that teaching lab, normal class that students take, they get immersed in like a real practical research project. We have a new science building that we can do this work in. This is Prairie Springs, and it opened in 2018. There are 36 teaching labs, 23 research laboratories. It was designed to be collaborative. So our lab, for example, actually has 4 other professors and their groups that work in that space. And that means that students can kind of flow freely from lab bench to lab bench and get help from other professors besides just me. So it just makes for less isolation, more collaboration in our work. Okay. There are many other forms of what I'd call active learning in the College of Science and Health. So our public health and community health majors all have to carry out a 15-credit full-time service learning course of 15 credits. That's going to take an entire semester. It's the capstone for their undergraduate coursework. And students will partner with many of these various kind of public or private companies or nonprofits. And they're paired with them and they end up working with them for that semester. And it turns out that I also run a nonprofit. So I put mine on here. So mine's Grow Lacrosse. And we do have these students rotate through Grow. They help build school gardens and they teach in our program. It's usually nutrition or garden-based or sometimes ecology-based. So I know from both ends, both from the professor end and from the nonprofit, acting as a client, but this has been a tremendously successful program. And then in the Department of Recreational Management, they have newly established this Tourism Research Institute that students are engaged in. What they do is they conduct travel and tourism and recreation related research. The students do that. And then they engage with clients that are external who want to use that research for their purposes. Like maybe they want to host an event in lacrosse and they want to know, what kinds of things there are for people to do in lacrosse. So again, like bringing students like right in contact with companies and clients. In math and statistics, there's a data science group who has made big strides in connecting students with surrounding companies. In this case, companies need help with analyzing big data sets. So they present the students these problems, the students work in teams, and then they report back to these companies. This is an example of something that happened recently with Fastenal. Good stuff happening in chemistry too. WISIS will fund projects that will eventually lead to new patents or biotechnology. Rob McGaff has been particularly successful with WISIS and has engaged students in these projects that have actually resulted in a new catalyst for manufacturing processes, and I think they're seeking a patent on it right now. Some other sorts of programs that we have in the College of Science and Health are focused on increasing diversity in the STEM workforce. We have the McNair program and also the FIRE program. And I can talk briefly about each of those, both really successful programs. The reason we need them is that it turns out that only about 40% of students who enter college with the goal of graduating, so like a first year student coming in saying, I want to major in biology, only 40% of them actually end up doing it. So sometimes we don't do a good job retaining these students, but if we did, if we could increase retention by just 10 percentage points, we could get really close to producing enough graduates to fill that, the workforce that I described in the very beginning, those fastest growing occupations. These are the students who could fill those roles. And women and underrepresented students, they constitute 70% of all of our college students, but they're only earning 45% of the STEM degrees. So there's clearly a disparity there. The McNair program, this is kind of to create a pipeline for students to move them from, their very first biology classes or chemistry or, whatever their major is, up to getting a PhD. So we look for students who are interested in seeking a PhD, and then we give them tons and tons of support to make it happen. So that means helping them with their applications for graduate school, helping them to identify graduate schools and programs where they could apply to, and then we help with professional development and make sure that they get that solid research experience if they end up in a faculty member's lab. FIRE is a little bit different. This is really focused on those first year, we call them gateway classes, think like Bio 105 or Chem 103, 104. They tend to be kind of difficult for students. We feel like if you can get the students past that point, they're going to be more successful in their upper level classes. And then if you can get them engaged in research, they'll be even more successful. So that has been particularly successful at UWL. Some good things happening in biochemistry. We're the first accredited program that's through the American Society for Biochem and Molecular Biology. This is significant because the biochemistry program is really a gateway to professional school and graduate school. So again, I'm getting back to those fastest growing occupations. The River Studies Center, that's a center of 21 faculty from, notice, many departments and programs up here that work together to understand our nearby aquatic ecosystems, like lakes and rivers. They look at invasive species, they look at contaminants, the impact of fertilizers, and urban sprawl. So 21 faculty, each with a few research students, that's a lot of opportunities for students to do research. And this is just a plug for my own program that I added on here. in the theme of experiential learning and connecting students to real research. I hope to do more of this. I took 10 students to the Spanish Virgin Islands on a sailing expedition last January, and they were sequencing corals based on some, hypotheses they had about climate change, and it was pretty successful. They learned a lot in a few different areas of life. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up, and you can ask whatever questions you have, both of me and of my research students that are here as well. So Seth, I guess it's just you. What do you want to talk about?
Am I the only one? I feel so bad.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay. But you're a computer science major. What year are you?
I'm a freshman.
Are you a freshman? How did you choose computer science?
To be honest, I'm kind of just like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something with computers.
Yeah.
So I just decided to just start off with that and then see how I liked it. And it's been pretty fun so far. So I don't know.
Yeah, it is. And you know, what's even, I would say, more powerful in terms of a career, like you take computer science and you blend it with another science, and that can make you really marketable, right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in big data, you know, if you can turn that into some informatics or statistics, is kind of different, but although it uses a lot of computation, right? We use computation in my lab. Actually, my second to last publication was a computational paper. We do computational biology and model proteins, but that's all, it's actually supercomputing. I don't know if you've heard of that yet, but my work, yeah, it takes, to run my projects, I think it was 45 laptops, the equivalent of 45 laptops to run a job. So
Wow.
we send stuff off to a supercomputing institute. Yeah, a lot of opportunities within. Have you found research yet? Have you found a mentor in that? I think so.
I guess like I haven't really looked into it too much. That's why I'm trying to go to like more informational sessions, just because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty new with everything. So
Well, I'm glad that you came, because if there's any message that we can give you, it's that you need to get into a research lab. Do any of my students want to talk about how important you feel that is? Or why? Why would I say something like that?
I can talk. I think it's important because having a first exposure to some things that you would learn about in later classes helps a lot with learning, because there are some things that, we were talking about like last year and I had no idea what they were talking about or what it meant. But then when you hear about them and learn about them like more in later classes, then it just cements it in your head and you're like, oh, I already talked about this, I already did it in lab. Like, it's so much easier just for classes, not to mention like the hands-on opportunities, especially now with COVID. I feel like a lot of people are going to miss out on like hands-on lab things. So having that exposure in research labs is really helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, like, personally, just for like, I know in like Bio 105 and like Chem 103, 104 labs, you like do one experiment and you'll use one specific procedure, whatever, but I never fully understand a procedure until I do it more than once. And so being able to like be in a lab and actually like writing protocols myself and like having to figure out which reagents we need and like, because usually you're kind of hand fed that stuff. And so now I'm actually getting an opportunity to run stuff by myself and figure out what we need to do from here and like redo things over and over and over again until we get them right.
Mhm. Exactly. Seth, it sounds like you should check out that data science group. I'm just guessing, with your interest in computer science, it's going to have to be applied to something eventually to get a job. So I would check out that group, or the mathematical biology group. They use computation for that too. Yeah, you should start as a freshman. Like, don't shy away from that. People will
That's
take
so
that chance.
scary. I like don't even know.
Oh, well, you know what? You just email me and I'll make sure that you get somewhere. You get into a lab. It's hard during COVID. It's really hard. But there's plenty of stuff you can do online. So my students, we've had to work online for almost a year, right? But we're all still here and they're still doing stuff. So yep, you have opportunities. If you need help,
Also, no one knows what they're doing when they first start, so don't feel bad.
Yep,
Yeah, I suppose
exactly.
you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just reach out to your professors. They all love to talk about research. They're never too busy for that ever. So just go on ahead and do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yep. Use us
Yeah.
as resources.
Oh, we have a couple of questions, just maybe for the students or for whoever wants to answer them. So besides research, what other ways can students get involved in the college or find leadership opportunities in the college?
So I'm a biochem major, and there is multiple clubs that you can join. So there's the biochem and chemistry club. So I know that usually you can start any age, but I started as a sophomore, and then you can, as you like age, you can grow up and actually get more leadership opportunities. And they work a lot through the community and like talking to people through that way. So yeah, there's those.
Mhm. Jacob and Anna,
Jacob.
do you have anything?
I'm part of an honor society that is focused on like preparing students for getting jobs in the future. So they have like, it's kind of like this where they have certain professors or members of the community come on and talk about just what they do and how they got there. So that's for like honor students, which is another, I think it's a good thing to get exposure to the outside world and like jobs and how people have traveled along their path to get there.
Another thing would be community outreach. You can use Handshake. Have you heard of this to find internships? And for some reason you can't find a research opportunity. Oh, you can do both too. There's so many community partners right now that would love a computer science major. So they're pretty vast array of opportunities out there in research and community engagement.
Yeah, and then just the other question we had written down is what is something, this one's a little bit more geared toward the students, something you wish you would have known when you first started your program, like that you know now?
I don't know. I'm in the computer science club, and I'm in a coders club as well right now that I've been participating in. Um, I don't know. I'm not that far into it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
research students.
yeah, I think I would like for people definitely like looking into getting into STEM like majors. It's really worth it to get past those first like couple classes because a lot of them are very generic like when you first start and you're not really learning what you're super interested in. And like I'm a junior, so I just started taking my actual biochemistry classes, and I find them a lot more interesting than what I first started doing. I was learning about electrical potentials. I don't really care personally, and now I get to actually learn about proteins and enzymes, which is what I care about. So like honestly sticking through it and make some friends in your major. Study buddies really help.
One thing that I would say would be like when I first started, when I was like choosing my major when I was a freshman, I was kind of scared. I didn't do like too well in math in high school, and so I didn't really want to go into chemistry because there was a lot of math. But now that I'm like a senior, like you can always learn what you're missing. I felt like I was missing a lot. And I kind of wish I was a chemistry major, but like just do what you want and you'll like figure it out with like classes and the work. Yeah.
Yeah, don't be scared to take a class. There's tons of people. Professors are definitely willing to help. There's
Mhm.
tutors, like Jacob helps me with class. So
It sounds like you're saying you can learn just about anything. It's just a matter of working at it, right?
Mhm.
So don't be
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
don't be
You can be
scared.
confident in your abilities. You can do stuff. Even if it's
I
hard, you
think
can do it.
that some good advice for like freshmen would be to try new things, like not try to think that, oh, I'm just a freshman, like I can't get into like whatever, and then think they're gonna wait later, because I think the earlier that you try something, the more you learn and the farther you get once you graduate.
Some good advice for anyone of any age, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And if there aren't any more questions, I think we'll just wrap up quick. So thank you again to our wonderful speakers, Dr. Jennifer Klein, and our research students, and for the great presentation and all of the information. And then we are having next week, if you would like to join us, we're partnering with Health and Wellness to discuss being an inclusive leader. But otherwise, thank you guys for joining us and have a great rest of your night.